Okay. Back again, since apparently I still can't do Jack today, since... Oh. Hell, apparently it's really hard to deliver a actual letter. Yeah, local post office has been all screwy, and my business is on hold until I basically get a package of deeds. Anywho. I'm not actually quite confident. Well, you know what? I really don't need the extra stuff from it, so I think I'm just gonna skip Quadriga. Basically, just unlock some extra dialogue later in the game, and for now you get some extra loot. But I can just go back and do that a little bit. I'm gonna lean pretty heavily on the archers for this one. It's pretty much an open map where you just snipe away with archers. Complete pushover. Not to mention this guy just turns around and backstabs one... Well, not really backstabs, but... front eviscerates one of his own guys. And at this point they tell you about the AI. Pretty useful. That's actually one of the challenge runs I wanted to do at one point, because I'm curious how it would go. This first one I wanted to do a no-skill run, so that I'd be able to tie that in with a Fusilier run. Then later on I wanted to give a shot to sort of a pacifist run. Now, a pure pacifist run in this game is impossible, but basically to try to convince all the generic NPCs and whatnot to join your side. So that was kind of the general plan, just convince as many NPCs as possible. Some can't be convinced, they're too loyal, so those guys kind of either get ignored if possible. I wasn't exactly sure how that one would go. And another one I was kind of curious, I actually probably wasn't gonna do a video of that one. I was just kind of curious to see what would happen, like a leader-only run, where everything else is AI and you can only do units that joined. You can't really touch them in any way aside from their equipment. As far as range goes, this should actually still hit. Yep. And that's why great bows are frickin' amazing. Now, once you get stuff like siege bows later down the line, just all bets are off. They can hit everywhere on the map. It's amazing. As long as you get even the slightest range advantage, or height advantage. Oh yeah, and pretty much all these wizards early on, they're just gonna keep doing the paralytic lightning nonsense. Is it still going on? Yeah, I tried a few more tweaks to see if that would change that little seizure it has when I try to use the overhead, and now I guess that's still happening. And at this point I'm not really sure what else I possibly can try, because I must have turned every option on and off. In both the emulator and software. Recording software, I mean. So, I don't know. This is one of those ones where everyone's squishy enough to actually just kill off all the random guys here. The only real negative repercussion from that would be your chaos frame rating. So to explain that, there's kind of a background system in which, depending on how many people you injure or kill on any particular faction's side, they will have a better or worse opinion of you. And also depending on how many you recruit and how many you're currently using and all these other background systems that in the end really affect nothing, because there's basically one or two NPCs that you can recruit that will actually care. The general idea is if, if somebody's part of a particular faction and you really severely piss off that faction, apparently severely pissing them off doesn't include going to war and, like, ordering them to kill off dozens of their own guys. Apparently that's not quite enough. Apparently it requires, like, specifically betraying them in certain bits of dialogue. And even then you still get a warning before, you know, before you have to go and do it a second time, so you practically have to try to make it happen. I've literally never once had that happen on any run. I think I had one person quit in the original game because it was a little bit more of a factor. But it's a lot more forgiving in this one, to the point of utter irrelevance. Not to mention, it's a score you can't actually see until you not only beat the game, and I think you have to beat it, get a couple endings, and then get a specific item from friggin' bottom. You have to go and invade hell, get an item from the bottom of that. How was that for your friggin' endgame content? I'm pretty sure it's harder to figure out your Chaos from rating than it is to actually recruit Lancelot again. It's kind of messed up because apparently when the original game came out, they held some sort of sweepstakes. By the way, by original, I don't even mean the PlayStation 1, I mean the SNES one. Apparently, they just did some sort of sweepstakes that they would give some sort of real-world item to anybody that could find this Fire Crest thing, which is apparently hidden in each of these tactics or Ogre Battle games. And I think they said it took something like 3 years for anyone to dig it up. And it was something like you needed specific stats on a specific person, on a specific tile of a specific class of, like, friggin' floor 80 or something of hell. So there's that. And bear in mind, in the original, you can even save in the 100 floor dungeon. Like, it was literally 100 battles in a row, and you were, like, you could save at the entrance, that's it. It's, let's just say at least that's an improvement. Like, there's a lot of quality of life improvements, I just don't know about the balance changes. Not that the original was exactly a balance thing. Like, it was just archers were head and shoulders above everybody else, melee units were utter garbage, and magic units were okay. Like, if you had 2 or 3 piling on one guy, you could do some pretty good damage. Felt better off just having everyone be an archer. Yeah, without any resistances or anything else being added, I get the feeling debuffs are gonna become kind of a big issue by the end of the game. Is there odds to hit? They pretty much just go up as time goes on. Unless you have the proper counters equipped. And right now, accuracy and debuff resistance are looking like crap. But, mostly I'm looking forward to a couple battles into Chapter 2, I believe is the earliest it becomes available. But when crafting becomes available, I am gonna go through and, I'm gonna have to go through that whole process. For anyone unfamiliar, the crafting is trash in this game. Like, the items that come out are great, the process of doing it is really painfully slow. By painfully slow, I mean you have to wait for this, like, 5-second long animation for each and every single item, and you may need, like, 7 items to even have a chance to roll an item. Like, once you get to endgame stuff, you basically just have to make a crap ton of items, and then pretty much just go and save your game, and then keep reloading until you get your 25% chance to upgrade your halberd. It's, not great. I don't know why they added those percentage odds. Again, it would be understandable if there was like an Iron Man setting in this game, and you know, they did leveling a little differently, and you weren't limited by item, or you weren't limited by levels. Because part of the annoying thing is, like, you'll take the last, you know, expensive thing that you can afford, go and try to craft the thing into something better. Like, let's say, your basic bucklers. Anyone can use them. Like, they're base level, anyone can use them, and it makes sense. Just like a little simple shield. Maybe not historically accurate, but whatever. You got your tiny little shield, and anybody can use it. So, that's fine. You upgrade it, and I think you need, like, level 13 or something. And when you unlock crafting, you're typically going to be around 10-ish, if I recall correctly. Like, it isn't too terribly far into the game. So you end up having to go and grind for several more battles just to even use the exact same shield you were just using, but slightly better. One of those ones that, I mean, it kind of got a little funky with the balance. I get what they were going for. Still, it's weird. Like, the random, sudden stops in the game are just weird. You suddenly can't do a thing for no reason other than the game tells you not to. And one of the main draws of the original was that there was very little that you couldn't actually do. Like, if you wanted to go and give a battle axe to a friggin' fairy or whatever and have them fly around, sure. It didn't make sense, but you could do it. Like, I remember in the GBA version, I would just go and give a crap ton of agility items to a dragon and just watch them go around dominating things. Or give, like, 4 glass pumpkins to somebody, or, like, 3 of them and a sword. Just watch them be unkillable, but barely able to move. Actually, you know what? That game's systems. I wish somebody would go and make some mods of Knight of Lotus. Because it really, like, properly figured out this formula. Like, if you had a skill system on top of that, it would be amazing. Just because the weight also affected movement, it wasn't just your character's turn speed. It actually affected how far they could move. It affected their evasion and stuff like that. And there's a lot more to that game than it seemed. Not to mention, I really like the emblem system, where you got little sub-achievements for each unit. And then you needed some of those for certain classes, like you couldn't have someone go and become a knight unless they were successful in attacking somebody head-on 3 times in a row. Okay, yeah, I can understand that. They're training to be a knight, that makes sense. They're attacking head-on. Couldn't be an archer until they hit 10 shots. Couldn't be any kind of spear user until they stabbed 2 people with 1 spear. It's cool. Now, as far as other classes... I may... Well, I guess it doesn't make sense. I was gonna say I may keep around some kind of magic user later. I can't really assign them the ability to do that. However... I can't really assign them the ability to use any magic of any kind. However, I would be able to still have them use the books. Which I believe still scale properly. Now, if I'd remembered to save just a moment ago, I would have said that, you know, you can't leave her. So this locks me out of a character later, I believe. That's fine. Because, frankly, she always gets herself killed here. Kinda RNG based on whether or not she'll get eaten by the time you get up there. And even then, you need a healer to be able to pull anything off. Even when I came here with all over-leveled archers, still didn't get there fast enough. She just goes in like, oh no no no, I'm running away, except now I'm gonna go and jump face first into a friggin' dragon. That's gonna work out great for me. All you have to do is run south. That's all you have to do. But nope, she won't even heal herself. She's just dead set on dying for her cause over here. And Leonard does a good job up front. But unfortunately he's also a bit of a hindrance. Either way, you get a pretty terrible starting position here. In most cases, if you actually want to go for that first option and try to save her, your best bet is just to have everybody run in naked with just a weapon. Gonna bum rush it out. Might end up losing a couple people, but you get another character later. Not really a terribly long battle, but this knight guy is the first, like, proper tanky knight you run into. It makes me wonder now, because there's a few instances in which you run into super tanky bosses, so I'm gonna have to figure out what to do in those cases. Now, I know when I've done solo class runs of this, usually to get past that level 30 wall, I would just have everybody switch to bombs for a while, which seem to have a different kind of scaling, so they'll still do pretty decent damage even if you're severely under-leveled, but they can't actually kill. They can take anybody down to 1 HP, but that's it. Potentially an idea there, but I'm not sure. The way they want you to play the game is to have a ton of different options, and then you try them out. Kind of like if you've ever played Vagrant Story, you can very much tell it's the same people that did the balancing for it. Where sometimes just stuff will plain not work whatsoever, even though you'd think it would. Like, you know, oh, the skeletons were weak to crushing for a while. Now they're suddenly immune to it. What gives? We're not gonna tell you. Try out different stuff. Try buffs. One trick that I always love to do in Night of Lotus that doesn't work quite as well in this game, but can be accomplished still, where you have two spear guys standing right on opposite sides of somebody. And you just poke back and forth and have them counter for a second hit straight through the guy, over and over and over. Very great. Alright, Leonard, come on, go up. Thank you. But since there's no counterattacks this run, it isn't gonna happen. Also watch after everything I said earlier, this is gonna be the one time that she gets away pretty much scratch-free. And normally you just get kept in place by the stupid dragon. At this low of a level, there's barely anything it can do. It's just annoying because you have to run around it. Now, one thing I was considering is actually replacing the fencers with beastmasters and dragon tamers. They can use whips. Not exactly as good as spears, but they also get the 2 spaces. And I'll see what I'm doing for tank units later. Because as useful as knights are, well, the archer should make up for the missing damage output. Their mobility sucks, though. That part is unquestionable. I guess Stina's gonna make it. Oh, and she's even gonna be useful. That's rare. Usually she isn't useful until New Game Plus. At which point, if you come back here with your time travel powers, she's gonna be the exact same character that you already have if you hired her. So you can make her pretty frickin' overpowered. The New Game Plus shenanigans in this, as far as the kind of what-if scenarios you can make, possibilities are pretty fun. We'll give this game that. Like, I don't know about the whole letting you redo whatever turns you want to right from the start of the game. Like, I think it's either this battle or the next one that you get access to the chariot. Yeah, no, I already have it. So, yeah, you can just turn back time anytime you want to. I think that was meant to be there in case you want to re-roll for a drop over and over. Except you have to move somebody to a different space, or else it won't actually change the seed. Great foes are great. There's this weird moment later into the game, around where Balder bows come to be a thing. And at that point, you kind of have the choice of suddenly sacrificing a bunch of range for having a shield. And it always seems like a direct upgrade, but it's not, and it's weird. And yeah, since knights are pretty tanky, you can use them with fencers. You can just have them stab straight through the knight. Oftentimes it can work out pretty well. And I have that archer face into the lake because there's something I wanted to try real quick if it's possible. Namely, if that dragon knocks her off the ledge. I'm kind of curious if there's an item on that space. The one on the middle of the lake, I mean. None of the drops are particularly good. At least not until you get a rogue. I think there's a couple spots with snapdragons, but I don't actually remember. Guess it's time to start taking out the boss so Sestina doesn't die. Although I'm pretty sure I can't get her this run anymore. And here's the problem we're going to run into with boss knights. They will just stall and stall and stall and stall. Probably gonna have to knock more of them off with stuff. Oh, goodbye, Sestina. What a shame. And yeah, Liberation Front's basically like a friggin' IRA or something in this. Like they're also a resistance group like the main guys, except kinda have a bad habit of like doing really messed up stuff. Oh, I can just get to that island. I don't even have to get knocked into it. Yeah, it was just a healing item. So one thing that's... Actually, it might actually make fencers necessary. I think they're the only ones that have wade by default. That's your move for walking in water. I'm gonna check next round, but yeah, I think they're the only ones that can walk in water. Sorry for accidentally killing that lady off. She's off to be a traitor later. As we continue to lose people to this night stalling. Bear in mind, this is, like, unquestionably the best offense you can get. Like, archers with great bows at this level. I mean, greatswords are comparable, but the way that scaling works in this, I believe greatswords are 2/3 strength, 1/3 dex. Bows are 2/3 dex, 1/3 strength, but they get a lot more dex. Anyhow, well, unclear on the nuances, but figured out it was. Eventually, this guy will be done defending his barrel. Oh, apparently he wasn't fated to die friggin' ever. I might make these guys into warriors later. Yeah, because, like, the warriors are technically one... No, they're at the same level now. Archers that, but never mind. I mean, the defense really isn't that much of a difference, and frankly, looks they're an offensive increase. All around. Yeah, because it's mostly the skills that make these guys tanky. I forget, there was some hidden stat. I want to say there's like a hidden armoring stat. And they, like, if you have their abilities on hand, they have one called Phalanx. They pretty much don't take a turn for another year, but they're, for all intents and purposes, invincible. Like, even to kill a generic one, you'd have to have your entire group, like, do all their kill moves in one turn, and then, even then, you're doing maybe 5s or 6s instead of your 50s. So, what's going on here? Got the resistance all the way down here, all this other stuff, the button for zooming out. There we go. So all the stuff over here, like, these are a couple of warring countries, this is off doing its own thing, and then these guys over here are invading down this way. And so they took over up to here. And so what these guys want is for these guys not to invade while they're fighting these guys. Like, these guys are doing a whole resistance thing. These are doing a whole oppression thing. And you got the yellow guys and the red guys. You know what? I'm gonna find... I almost never play with the map zoomed out. Kinda cool. Yeah, and then you go back and you do some talking. And everybody dialogues for 40 billion years. And you get Ravenous. And I rip anybody's skills off. Yep. Congratulations, Ravenous. You're now useless. Those ice stones become available now. I have no real items for her. Doesn't matter. She's a fencer. Pretty dang good at it. I won't be able to actually save her this run. The only way to do that is to be able to put her to sleep. Either sleep or charm. Because you get put into the situation where you have to slaughter a town, more or less. She obviously gets mad about that. And basically is fighting you while you're fighting another group. And she starts right next to you. And constantly kills off your group. So the only way to actually... Oh yeah, and she re-equips your items. Unlike FFT, you can't actually just take away your stuff and hope for the best. So, usually you just have to either charm or put her to sleep. And that works a little bit. Not for very long, though. Now, let me get some daggers here, because I wanna give something a go. Because I want to make my frontline guys into warriors, and see about just, you know, having them be knife fighters, more or less. I will buy the other stuff in a second, I just... Let me see what needs to be sold. Also, be right back. That was a weird noise.